Oh my god. Danny, because it's live. I don't know if you want to do whatever you want. Okay. Hi, you guys are watching the Mac and Cheese podcast, which you will hopefully be doing one podcast once a month or multiple episodes a week with one of my friends or celebrities. If you want to be a guest, please email us at macpodcast33@gmail.com or DM us on, I don't know, Twitter or X, which we are live on at macpodcast33. Tonight's guest is a member of the Game on Wisconsin crew, Dan. We were just talking to him behind the scenes about some stuff. Twitter will be in the bio, so if you want to follow them there, please do. And we will be back in February. Justin.
Well, we've heard this plenty of times, but Tom Grossi, a famous YouTuber and Packers fan, has been nominated by the Green Bay Packers for the NFL's Fan of the Year award. This past summer, he raised $500,000+ for St. Jude's Children's Hospital while touring the country, every NFL city. It was a lot of chaotic good. He always does lots of charity work all the time, and he has great YouTube content every year. So, on the NFL's website, you can search for Fan of the Year and then vote for that using your email account as much times as you want, and the voting will be over during the Super Bowl week. So let's hope the Super Bowl is with the Packers. So that's it.
Oh shoot, it's my favorite. It's my question. Of course it is. What is your favorite moment at Lambeau?
My favorite moments at Lambeau. This is, I assume, like favorite moments of mine being at Lambeau?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So number one was when we won the Super Bowl in 2010. My family, we live in Ohio. We all mostly lived in Ohio, and we drove to Green Bay to watch the Super Bowl in Green Bay with friends, so that inevitably when we won, we could go to the stadium and party outside the stadium with all the fans. And yeah, that was an absolutely amazing experience. It made winning that championship so much better. I got to see Rachel Nichols. She yelled at me for being too loud while she was trying to do her ESPN hit. I almost got arrested in front of Lambeau. Yeah, that was just a wild experience. I'm so glad I got to do that there. Two others that I had. I got to spend my 21st birthday at Lambeau Field, basically. I am December 30th, so the game was January 1st against the Lions the year after we won the Super Bowl. So that was the Matt Flynn, I think it was a 5 or 6 touchdown pass game. 6, that's right, that's what I thought. 6 touchdowns in the snow against the Lions. That was and first time I got to drink at Lambeau. And then obviously I think the one that if you were at this game, you'll never forget, the 2018 opener against the Bears. Rodgers comes back at halftime. I got to my then girlfriend, now wife, got to be there with me for it. So I think there's a lot every time I go to Lambeau, it's a special time, but those 3 definitely stick out in my mind.
Justin.
Yeah, my time at Lambeau back in November 2022 for the Packers facing Mike McCarthy for the first time was a truly awesome experience.
Oh yeah.
The whole weekend. This is like the same tour in the Hall of Fame on Saturday, and then the game on Sunday was just an unforgettable experience. Overtime victory, Rodgers win against McCarthy, and I was hoping for a better season 2022, but onto a Jordan Love era, and Love has played well so far, and now they're in the playoffs. And speaking of that, what were your thoughts on the Packers bouncing back from their bad stint during the season and making it to the playoffs? And how far do you see the Packers going into the playoffs this year?
Yeah, I think it was just nice. It was just nice to see them bounce back in the second half of the season and have things start to finally click. Like I've done a couple. I did Pack a Day, that came out today, and we talked about that. That it felt like if this whole season felt like a Disney Channel movie where like you took a bunch of random kids and you put them together on this team and they have to like struggle through the first half and then like halfway through the season they're like, gang, we got to work together and be like to be the best we can. We got to work together, and everybody comes together and it just starts to click, and like that's what it felt like, was like watching a movie where it's like all of a sudden everything just started to bam just work. And that's what I think is like been so great about this season is like we finally got to see that in the second half. After we went through the first half of kind of these ups and downs, second half, it's been bam, like they've got it figured out. Like we know that this is going to work. Um, as for the playoffs, I think they have like I'm calling it about like a 50-50 shot on Sunday, realistically. I'm feeling slightly good, but also slightly bad. Like I'm just kind of in the middle. If they can beat the Cowboys, I think things kind of open up from there. Then it's open season at that point. Because if you can go into Dallas and beat this Cowboys team, I think you can go in and beat anybody if you play the style of game that I know this team can play. So if they can beat the Cowboys, I'll feel really good. But honestly, just my expectation is don't get blown out. Just show that you deserve to be there and be competitive. And that's I will be happy. I will be happy with anything after that.
Yeah. Playing with house money.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like Andy says, we're playing with house money pretty much this season. Who are your top two Packers players, not naming quarterbacks, offensive and defensive, current and former?
So current was much harder than former, because I just love this team. I love every part of this team. It's been so fun. Every player on this team is so fun. But if I have to pick two, defensively, I lean towards some extra love to my guy Carl Brooks, because he is a Bowling Green Falcon, just like me. I was ecstatic when they drafted him because not many kids get to come out of the MAC, especially out of Bowling Green, and get to make it to the NFL. And he's had 4 sacks this year, and he's playing really well. And he will probably always sort of be this rotational style player that's not going to just blow the doors off of people, but that's all you need. Like you just like this was he needs to be better than Dean Lowry, and he's better than Dean Lowry in it, and it's great. And it's even better that he's a Bowling Green kid, so I love him. Offensively, this was hard to pick too, because all these pass catchers, the whole offense is just they're having so much fun. Like I said, it's like a Disney Channel movie. If I had to pick one, I'll lean towards Jaden Reed, because out of I think like the whole group, the wide receiver group had 2 players that you could argue had number 1, number 2 locked up, Romeo and Christian Watson. He came in as a rookie and has basically almost said, I'm in the conversation for number 1 wide receiver now. Like I'm not waiting to have this offense start to involve. I am forcing this hand, and you're going to start forcing me the ball. And he's breaking records. He's setting records like this. This again, this whole offense has been fun to read. Jaden Reed is just one of the best parts about it, and especially in the second half, he's just absolutely taken off. Former players, offensively, I went with Donald Driver. He is the ultimate Green Bay Packer. Maybe it's because when they started talking about Bo Melton as shades of Donald Driver, I started to get nostalgic about Donald. But yeah, Donald. I'll go with Donald on that one. And defensively, I stuck with ones that I've seen play, because like I would probably go like Reggie White. He's still a little bit before my time. So I went with Micah Hyde because again, Micah Micah was a great player. He is a great player. I'm still upset that he ended up going to Buffalo. He's from the town that my dad and his whole family grew up in. I got a chance to interview him a couple times when I worked at a radio station down there. I got to go to follow him around at his football camp when he came back to his hometown. He's a really great guy. He's a great football player. And, if things had just played out a little bit differently around that, he could be up there as one of the all-time best Packers in the Aaron Rodgers / Jordan Love era, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with I definitely agree with Donald Driver being one of my favorite all-time players. He and Aaron Jones currently, they both carry the G very well.
Mm-hmm.
Defensively, currently, it's tough to pick. Carl Brooks is doing pretty good. Rashawn Gary's doing great. Hopefully, he has a better season in terms of sacks next year. All depends on how we get how this next season comes around. Speaking of the off season, number 4 is what do you think the Packers are going to look for in the 2024 NFL Draft, which is in Detroit, and currently at pick number 19, although that may change with the postseason outcome.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's pick 32.
And also the draft after that is at Lambeau in 2025. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I am very much excited about these next 2 drafts because I live just north of Detroit, and so I'm very excited about everything that's happening. I love living in the Detroit metro area here. I think as much as the Lions do in fact suck hard, the city itself is really fun, and I think it's going to be really cool to see the draft take place here. And so I'm excited about getting to experience that, and then I'm definitely not missing a chance to experience the draft at Lambeau Field. It's something I've been like thinking about. I'm sure every Packer fan has been thinking about ever since they started moving the draft around, is when the hell is it going to be at Lambeau. From an actual draft perspective for this year, I think you have to go hard on defensive back and offensive linemen early on. I think you've got 3 picks right now in the top 50, and I think I think you have to go. At least 2 of those 3 picks have to be at those positions. I mean, offensively, you're pretty much almost set everywhere else except along that offensive line. Like, that's kind of your one spot that may be a little stuff. Running back as well, I think they need to address that at a certain point too. And then defensive back wise, whether it's safety, whether it's cornerback, it's pretty clear that like the way that they did offensive pass catchers this year, where they just kind of did it in bulk and threw it at the wall to see if anybody sticks, I think you got to do that defensive back wise. Safety, cornerback, get as many bodies in there as you can and just see who gets to stick around. And I think that, and fingers crossed, you're doing that with a new defensive coordinator that can do what this offense did and turn that defense around a little bit. So that's where I'm leaning towards.
Yeah. So I was gonna say my favorite former and current Packers. Pretty much everyone knows I'm a Bristol Douglas fan. He actually wished me and my friend a happy birthday like 6 days later last year. So that was fun.
Nice.
I'm sad he went to the Bills, and my favorite defensive corner is Lucas Van Ness. He is not getting enough attention.
But he in the second half of the season, just like Rashawn did in his rookie season, he's following that same game plan. So I'm expecting big things out of him.
Yeah. For offensive, I love Aaron Jones and Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson. Oh. Okay. As Justin mentioned, Tom Grossi. What are your thoughts of Tom Grossi winning Packers Fan of the Year, and do you think he will be Fan of the Year Also, did you meet him during the 30 and 30 event that he did?
I hate Tom Grossi. No. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I don't think. No, I think it's impossible to hate Tom Grossi. I did beat him in our fantasy league this year, Tom. I'd like to remind you of that. It was not just a beat. I took you to school, buddy. The rest of the season doesn't matter. We don't need to ask how the rest of the season played out. But I beat Tom in fantasy this year. No, Tom is seriously he is the LeBron James of NFL fans. Because when you think about, you posted, you wrote that question down. I was like thinking about it, and I'm like, so let's say Tom this year, rightfully so, wins NFL Fan of the Year. He's not gonna stop being Tom.
Yeah.
And so, moving forward, how do you not continue to give? It's like LeBron James every year. It's like, when he was at his peak, everyone wants to give him the MVP every year. And it's like, well, what about Kobe? What about,
Right.
whoever else? And it's like, yeah, but LeBron is still doing LeBron things. And if he's still doing LeBron things, shouldn't he be the MVP every year? And that's what it feels like with Tom, is if this is Tom's benchmark right now, it's only going to continue to raise. And so how do you keep giving out this award and not giving it to Tom Grossi every single year at this point? But no, Tom seriously, for the Packer community, he sets the bar for all of us in terms of production, hustle, grind, commitment. He does amazing things with it as well. And yeah, I got a chance to meet him when he came to Detroit, and I was blown away by by just the sheer number of Lions fans that came down to Detroit just to see Tom. So many of them came down just to say hi, get a picture, and had to go back to work or something. And so many of them came just to see him. So yeah, that's really cool. And I know he's hinted about what he's doing next, which is supposedly going to be better. I don't know how he's going to top it, but yeah, that's my 5-minute my 5-minute soliloquy about Tom Grossi. He's LeBron James.
That's definitely a good way to say it. Me and Mary met Tom when he was in Tampa Bay in mid June, and he's great. He's a great guy. Got a picture with him and Johnny Parks. It was Johnny's birthday when we went to Tampa for the meetup. It was right across the street from Raymond James Stadium. Tom was able to get into the stadium. Only he was able to do the pirate ship. Detroit, not so much. I'm hoping that next time he does a stadium tour, that every team allows him.
It was insane. I tried to tell Tom he didn't visit 30 NFL stadiums. He visited 30 NFL stadiums and one baseball stadium because they kicked him off of the Ford Field property, and we all had to go stand next to Comerica Field where the Tigers play. And that's where we did most of the meet and greet because security just came by and they're like, yeah, we don't know what's going on. You need to get. They literally did just you need to go across the street. And we're like, really? It's like an alleyway. And they're like, yeah, you got to go over. You have to go on Comerica's property. You can't be on Ford Field's property.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm glad to hear Tampa was more accommodating, much more accommodating.
So if you could
Yeah.
Tom and Johnny both signed it for me. And I live in Florida, so that's
Johnny's a good dude too. Johnny's real good. He should win supporting fan of the year. Tom wins fan of the year. Johnny Barks wins supporting fan of the year.
Yeah. So how do you think the Packers can improve to win the Super Bowl in the future? Outside of getting a new defensive coordinator.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say that needs to be number one. Get rid of Joe Barry instantly. No, I think it's For me, it's all about maintaining the growth that you already have. We've seen it from Jordan Love. We've seen it from this entire offense. Everybody is trending in the right direction. So that needs to continue, because once this offense, like right now, they're playing a little bit of like adrenaline football, like it's kind of like fly by the seat of your pants, like we're hot shot. Once they can establish themselves like and play like how San Francisco plays that style of offense, where all of those offensive threats are just threats the entire time. It's just not if they get hot. That's when it's going to be. And then I think, on top of the defensive coordinator change, whoever comes in as defensive coordinator needs to basically just do what you've done with the offensive side and establish a new attitude on this defense. It's really been since the Super Bowl year since we've had a defense that has an attitude that says like it has like an FU attitude, and I want that back. I think that is proof. Like look at Dallas, they play defense like that. Baltimore plays defense like that. San Francisco plays, Miami even at times before they had a lot of injuries, played defense like that. Like that's what I want to see, and they've got the talent to do it. You just have to find somebody that can harness it, and they just haven't been able to do that ever since really Dom Capers. And it's not like Dom Capers was, setting out the Legion of Boom or anything, but ever since that, it's been just kind of a survive the down style of defense every year. I want that to change.
Don't break.
Exactly.
And most of the time, it's been broken.
Right, and that's the thing is like with this offense, like you kind of saw it a little bit in that Chicago game. Like they gave up on like those first two drives for the Bears. Yeah, they only gave up field goals, but they took up almost a whole quarter of play on it. Like, and it's like you can't, with an offense as young as this team is like this, you got to give them every chance possible. You can't let an opposing offense take 6-7 minute drives and kick a field goal every time, because you only gave up 3 points, but if you go 3 and out the next time, you can't give up another 6-minute drive again. Half your game is already gone, and so they need this defensive instinct that isn't about holding on, it's about shutting up, it's about putting an end to the offense. And I think they have the guys on there that are willing to do it. You just need to unlock that fire.
Always get the pressure on the quarterback, regardless of whether if it's Justin Fields or Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely that game went by very quickly. It was only 2.5 hours, that game.
Yeah.
Little to no penalties, although there were a couple stupid ref decisions anyway.
Yeah, they needed to affect the game somehow, since they weren't throwing flags. They've decided they needed to insert themselves otherwise.
Yeah, if it wasn't for a couple of would-be touchdowns, would have been should have been touchdowns, would have been blowouts.
That is exactly right. Yeah,
it wanted to be a close game.
Okay, so we usually ask this question. This is not on the script. Who do you want to see as defensive coordinator?
Oh man. I mean, if I could like pick anybody, Dan Quinn is like one of my. I love Dan Quinn as a defensive coordinator. I really do. I'm trying to remember who I read. Iowa Joe Pearson. He does Ohana Packers now. He had a really good article that had a couple of kind of low key defensive coordinator prospects. I think if I'm looking at it, I think there was one guy out of Baltimore. I think he's the linebackers coach. The way Joe described him sounded really fun. And I think if I have to go somebody that I'm actually familiar with, and I absolutely feel nauseous saying this. Men are out of the University of Michigan. They've just won the national championship, unfortunately, and he's a defensive coordinator. I think is ready to make a change or to take the next step, and this could be that next step. So yeah, if I had to pick, those are my two. Honestly, that thing, I'm terrible, absolutely terrible at trying to decide who I want as coaches or anything, because like I'm trying to remember when they hired Matt LaFleur, I was like, who the hell is this guy? I have no idea. Like what is he about? Like is it any good? I think I even defended Joe Barry at one point when he first got hired, and so that right there tells you everything I think you need to know about my ability to scout and decipher who should be coordinator. Like I said, I just want somebody that it's not a buddy guy.
Mhm.
Like it's not somebody that Matt is just like, throwing a lifeline or saying, "Hey, come on, join the family or whatever."
Right.
Bring in somebody that's going to challenge kind of the status quo right now, because
Right.
that needs to change. So that's what I hope for, is that it's somebody that can just change whatever is going on right now.
I know people mentioned Vrabel from the Titans head coach.
That would be a good one. I'd be interested to see if he would step back. I love Vrabel because he's an Ohio State kid. He's older than me. But yeah, that would be a fun one. I'd like that a lot.
Yeah, people that though, because Matt LaFleur coached with Vrabel at one point.
Yeah. I mean, he brings the intensity. He talked about one time that he'd cut his balls off to win a Super Bowl. So, if that's the intensity we need, sign me up for crazy, man.
That would make you sing high for the Bee Gees.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Oh, what are your top 3 Packers moments besides the Super Bowl of all time?
Sure. I think one of them has to be the Miracle in Motown, the Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary throw, because I was living with some family at the time in Toledo, and it was a Thursday night game. So we're all sitting there and we're just like, we hate ourselves. We're going to watch the end of this because we thought it was all over. And he throws that pass, and it's one of those moments where, like I don't get to watch a ton of games with family because I've always sort of lived sort of away from a lot of extended family. But the moments when I get to watch those kind of events with my family is absolutely amazing. And we just went absolutely crazy. And we tried calling my dad, who was living back in Dayton, and he wasn't answering. He had fallen asleep. He went to bed, and he woke up the next morning, and he's like, he saw his phone. He calls us back. He's like, "What's going on? Like, I have like 5 missed phone calls from you." He was like, "Well, did you see the end of the game?" He's like, "No." Like, what? Dude. And, that was a lot of fun. Another one. A lot of these are over on my birthday. My 18th birthday, I got to go to Green Bay and watch the Lions go 0-16. And it was one of the first times me and my cousin sat by ourselves. I got to sit at Lambeau, away from any adults, away from any parents, and got to just kind of experience like Green Bay as a fan and not just as a kid with his parents. If that makes any sense. And that was just hella fun. It was really fun to see the Lions go 0-16. And another one, I hate to get a little sappy here, but I talked about all this stuff with like family and stuff like that. and I think it was 2015, I believe. I meant to look the game up, and I didn't. My uncle Rich passed away kind of unexpectedly, and so we had the funeral over a weekend, and it happened to time up with a Packer game. And so we all went to the funeral home. We're all suits and everything. We go through the wake. It's 4 hours or whatever. The last 2 hours of the wake are the end of the early games, and it wraps up about a half hour before the start of Packers Chargers, and we all went down to this little tiny dive bar in the town that the whole family grew up in. And so there's like three people playing pool. There's like a biker at the bar that's like just drinking straight Jameson, and like 20 people in their Sunday best walk into this dive bar and start ordering like 3 rounds of Miller Lite each, and we watched the Packers beat the Chargers that day. just like literally hours after my uncle's funeral, and we're just like, Rich would have loved all of that.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
yeah, that's what it is, man. It's football. It's family. It's this whole thing. It's about being part of family.
Yeah, my family was my family's a bit different. My family are not fully Packers fans, but they do support my fandom. They do support me being a Packers fan over the years. Just crazy that football brings everyone together, for better and for worse.
Yeah.
So just my three favorite moments before I ask the question. My three favorite moments. It's tough to pick three. I'll pick the Al Harris pick six against the Seahawks.
Oh,
that happened about 20 years ago. That was so happy when I saw that pick six. Next one I'll pick is the Rodgers against the Falcons in the playoffs 2010. A couple games before the Super Bowl. That quarterback game was just an incredible thing I saw. And I'll pick a moment from this season. This season has ups and downs, but it has some great moments. My favorite games from this season was against the Chiefs. I wasn't at Lambeau, but I saw it on TV, and it was a great game to watch. Jordan Love putting on a show on Sunday Night Football. Taylor Swift being there, and I'm sure she was impressed.
Yeah.
So I know the question is going to be like very multiple parts. So during the offseason, there's going to be some coaching changes, players going to other places. Do you have any thoughts on what's going to exactly happen during the offseason?
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, if I can drag out the dead horse to beat one more time, Joe Barry needs to go. And I think that'll happen kind of regardless of what happens with this season. I do think that there needs to be a reevaluation of Adam Stenovich's role as offensive coordinator. I don't think that's going to happen because he's Maddie's boy. But I wish that they would take a look at maybe that does change a little bit when he gets a new defensive coordinator in, and maybe that there's new voices in. I hope. As for players, I think that's been the real win of this season is seeing which holes are filled and which holes are not filled. They threw a lot at the wall to see who will stick, and I think offensively, they've pretty much found an answer for almost every role at this point. So defensively, I think we're going to see a little bit more change. I'm curious how much change we will see, just because of how their cap situation is going to look.
Yeah.
But like I think we probably don't see Devondre Campbell back. I'd be kind of surprised if Savage sticks around. And I think, there's a question about what's going to happen with Preston Smith as well, because he's starting to get up there in age, and you just wonder, with everything they've invested on the pass rush side, can they afford to keep a guy of his kind of I know he's not that old, but like, you're paying a lot to Rashawn Gary. You're paying a lot to Lucas Van Ness. And guys like Enagbare have shown that they can play in spots as well. I'd love to see him stick around because I think he still has more to give. But I think those are the two, and I think I also have, like, because Quay Walker has solidified himself as a starter. Isaiah McDuffie this year has done a lot to show that he can play. As long as the none of the injury stuff is anything serious. Because
Mhm.
and then, like, everything else is kind of up for grabs at this point. Like I said, like, you go to the whole secondary, and I think you bring in as many bodies as you can, veterans, rookies, whatever, and you say nobody's job is safe. I don't care if
Right.
you're Jair Alexander, if
Mhm.
you're Anthony Johnson Jr. or Rudy Ford. You have to re-earn, and I think that's what I'm hoping for, is with a new defensive coordinator, you have to re-earn your spot on
Yeah.
this team. You have to show why you deserve to stick around, or not even deserve, but why you want to stick around. Do you want to stick around?
Mhm.
Um, and I don't question it in terms of like Jair or something like that, but like, under a new system, you have to reassert yourself. You have to say, like, I'm here to play, and I'm here to play under you, and I'm ready to go. I'm your guy. Um,
Mhm.
I don't think anybody's job is safe on the defensive side. So um, that's what I'm
Okay.
hoping for, is just defensively bring in some new blood and let's figure it out.
I know you didn't mention this player, but Keyshawn Nixon, bring him back. What do we do with him?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah, bring him back. He's Desmond Howard.
Yeah.
He'll play decent enough on the defensive side to warrant being there, but all of his talent, or all of his value, is special teams, and you don't get rid of a two-time All-Pro like that.
What do we do with Rich Bisaccia?
Fire
I
him.
know
Get
people.
rid of
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. People want
The
him to
guy,
go.
the guy is stealing money from the organization at this point. Yeah, I didn't even think about that when I was thinking about coaches, but yeah, Rich Bisaccia has to be shown the door as well. I think he is. I mean, it's just like, and some of it might not even be his fault. It might be players.
Right.
It might be the players that he's given on special teams. But it's like, you can't make that much money as a special teams coordinator and have
Yeah.
special teams play this way.
Samori Toure. I know that's another questionable one.
Yeah, I think he'll stick around at least out of training camp, and I think he's got the edge. But there's gonna be rookies. There's gonna be other wide receivers that come into this camp and that push him. And I just, with the talent that's above him, I just wonder where's his spot.
Mhm.
Bo Melton has passed Samori Toure. Like, that's where we're at right now. And no offense to Bo Melton, I love a Rutgers kid, but yeah, you can't be beaten by Mo Melton and have your job secured for next year.
Running backs. I know we have a couple on contracts: AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones. What do we do with them?
I would love to see. Well, I'd love to see both back next year.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see Emmanuel Wilson as your third running back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll take that back. I would love to actually. I would prefer to see somebody like a Blake Corum in here as a third running back, because I know Aaron Jones says he is playing. He hasn't even hit his peak yet, but history has shown otherwise. That like he has reached he's reaching the point where running backs don't usually continue to produce like he does. So yeah, I would hope that this is an offense with running backs where Emmanuel Wilson is your break in case of like behind glass, and if the worst comes to worst, you can bring Emmanuel Wilson in, and hopefully they sort of start to phase AJ Dillon out, and it's more of a Aaron Jones insert round 5 rookie running back.
Oh, yay! My favorite question of all. Not really. Oh shoot. Packers and Bears. What did you like about it? And then prediction for the Packers and Cowboys playoff game.
You mean like just this recent game or just in general?
No,
it can be both.
In both, it's awesome because we kick their ass every year, and I absolutely love it. And Bears fans continue to be the epitome of the SpongeBob. How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? Because they just don't get it. It's every single year. They think that it's going to be their year, and it's not their year. This time around, it was just elation, beating the Bears, and it wasn't so much that it wasn't just because it was the Bears. Mm-hmm. It was because this team basically like rewrote history from last year. They were in the same position, almost like copy and paste, and they exercised that demon. And this was a statement game from Jordan Love and this team to say it's a new era in Green Bay. And surprise, surprise, the new era in Green Bay is going to be the same era for pretty much the rest of the NFC North. You might tag us 1 or 2 times, but we're going to continue being competitive and most likely winning this division more times than we don't. And so I think that was my biggest thing, was just like the realization of this season being the success that it is. And to go off of that, I have no expectation going into this Dallas game. This is extra credit at this point. And I was like thinking back, I don't think there's ever been a single season I could think of going into a playoff game where I'm like, if we win, great. If we don't, okay. Mm-hmm. There's always just been that expectation of they should win the Super Bowl this year, or because it's Super Bowl or bust this year, and it's not. Like it would be great to see them go far, be competitive, but it's just I will take whatever comes. That being said, my feeling for the Dallas game, my sneaky little Disney Channel part inside the back of my brain just keeps saying, you better not let us win this one. You better. I watched the one part of that ESPN 30 for 30 on the Boston Red Sox comeback against the Yankees, and right before that Game 4 where he was saying, don't let us win this one. You better put us away tonight. Because if we win this one, we're going to win the next one. And we're going to win the next one. And we're going to keep winning. And that's how I feel about this team, is you better put us away on Sunday, Dallas. Because if you don't, and we win this game, we're going to keep rolling. It's going to compound, and nothing is going to stop it. So that's the little Disney Channel Act 3 brain in my voice.
I would love for the Packers to beat Dallas, but regardless of what happens, I'm proud of what this team accomplished
Mhm.
in a rebuilding year, new quarterback, new era. But kind of that's just eternal. I think. Like if we beat Dallas, then there's nothing stopping us from potentially upsetting San Francisco
Right.
Yep.
and exercising those demons. Because Rogers never won against the 49ers in the playoffs,
Mhm.
sadly.
Yep.
And then the potential conference championship would be either choice of Detroit, Philadelphia, Tampa, or the Rams. Because I mean, playing with house money, we could be favored in the conference championship, and then maybe run to a buzz on Baltimore. But we'll see.
But if you beat Dallas and you beat San Francisco, nothing scares me at that point. I'm gonna start thinking I am invincible at that point. I start hearing the Chariots of Fire music in the background, like the angels in the outfield, like bop, 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 like they're gonna do it, Dad. Like they're gonna go all the way.
That's funny. so Devontae Campbell and Aaron Jones were nominated by the NFL for their special awards, like Salute to Service Award for Aaron Jones, then also paying Man of the Year award for Devontae Campbell. Do you think those two are? Do you think those two are have a good chance of winning those awards?
Yeah, those awards are always tricky for me because it's like, how do you pick? It's like they're all like, it's like outside of this year with like Tom Grossi that we all know extremely well, and it's like, yeah, he should win fan of the year. It's the same thing as like fan of the year. It's like, how do you pick a fan of the year when like most of the candidates are just like, look at my basement and I got all these jerseys, and it's like, how do you pick a winner out of that? And it's not to diminish the award or like diminish what they do to earn that award, but it's like, how do you pick a favorite? I've always thought though that Aaron Jones specifically with the Salute to Service award deserves to win it at least one time. And maybe he does win it this year because, and this is just, again, pure conjecture based on absolutely nothing that I know, but maybe with more downtime as it being injured, he's getting to do a little bit more community wise, and maybe that helps give him a little bit more, face time with people that are voting on it or whatever. So if I lean towards one, I'm hoping Aaron Jones can get it, because I think if anybody fits the idea of the Salute to Service award, he seems like a guy that should be winning that one once.
So I hate to break it down, but we've had so many guests on those weeks we've won.
Mhm.
So you and Matt Ramage were on this week. You guys both picked the Packers to win. So I'm counting you guys for the win this week. We've won those weeks with the guests, and we had Monty on for the week of the Bears. We won. Only 2 times it did not work. That was against the Giants and the Bucks. We lost. We did not have a guest on those 2 weeks, and we lost those 2 games.
That's what I'm saying. It's the Disney Channel vibe. I'm telling you, it's coming. Start flapping your wings. We're gonna make it happen.
Okay. Fine.
Or the secret stuff in Space Jam.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. One of my most questions.
Yeah, I'm not doing the Pro Bowl portion of the question because Pro Bowl is a glorified flag football game.
Exactly.
We only have top 5.
Yeah. We're not even on. Oh, yeah. Okay. Any guests that you want to hear from or have on this podcast from the new year? I wrote this one before the new year.
Yeah.
You were one of our top requests for 2024, believe it or not.
That is surprising to me that people care enough to talk about me. I don't. I two that really stick out to me is people that I look up to and respect. in the Packers community for what they've been able to do. I mean, there's tons of them. I could fill you a whole season of guests with people that I think deserve to be on it. But Robin Adams is one from Wisconsin Sports Heroics. I mean, he built Wisconsin Sports Heroics from basically the ground up, and he turned it into he basically created a he created a Packer Wire. He created Bleacher Report from nothing.
Oh.
And I've gotten a chance to do some writing for him and help out a little bit with Wisconsin Sports Heroics. He's one, and then um, two that I've gotten a chance to work with personally a lot on Packaday. They came they helped us with Game On initially, and they've risen above and beyond anything that I think I could even ever attempt to try to get is Maggie Loney and Perry Goldstein with Pax What She Said, because I love those two. They're smart, they're funny, and they've built such a strong following out of just their own two hands. So yeah, those are a couple that I think deserve they get the recognition, but they deserve to be heard more.
I'm surprised that you did not say Tom Grossi. That's my popular for the podcast. I will tell you that.
I told you I hate Tom Grossi. I don't want to hear any more opinion.
Although I definitely agree with Maggie and Perry. I watch Packers She Said every week during the season.
Mm-hmm.
They do great stuff. So Julius Peppers, who was a former Packer, and then Bears, then Packers, then Panthers, Bears, Packers, then Panthers to conclude his career. He's a finalist for the Hall of Fame this year, and do you think he'll make it?
I think he absolutely deserves to make it. I'm curious if they will. I think this is this the first year he's eligible for it. I don't think he'll get in just because the league, the voters are always so funny about like, well, he should be in the Hall of Fame, but he can't go in on the first ballot of the Hall of Fame. Like that's reserved for the really good players. It's like, well, if he deserves to be in, he needs to get in. But he definitely deserves to be in. Like I went back and looked at I was reading just kind of a recap of like his career and everything he did. 3 All-Pro selections, 9 Pro Bowls, and was named to the All 2000 Hall of Fame team. Pro Football Reference does like a really good career projection of like a formula basically to project how your score of how you get into the Hall of Fame. And it's pretty accurate. Accurate, but it's it seems like it does a good job of kind of predicting. He's 8th all time out of defensive ends in terms of Hall of Fame score. He's only behind guys like Reggie White, J.J. Watt, Lawrence Taylor, Michael Strahan, the all-time best. He should be a Hall of Famer, and I think we should take full credit for his entire career. He should go in as a Green Bay Packer, I think.
Yeah. I loved it when Peppers was a Packer from 2014 to 16, and I wish he won a ring or two with us.
It would have been nice. But he's the player that deserved to have a championship. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I did look it up, Dan, and it is his first year being eligible for Hall of Fame. It's Julius's first year being eligible for Hall of Fame. What about Sterling Sharp? Do you think he should finally be in it?
Oh, hell yes. Totally. Sterling Sharp should definitely be in the Hall of Fame. He is one that I think that's going to be trickier to get in. Just because we saw how long it took. It almost took grassroots campaign efforts to get Jerry Kramer and Leroy Butler into the Hall of Fame. And Jerry Kramer had the benefit of being a Lombardi Packer.
Right.
Leroy Butler had the Lambeau Leap as his thing.
Mhm.
Outside of Green Bay, I don't know how many like fans today, like fans under 35 right
Yeah.
now. How many fans outside of Packer fans know Sterling Sharp? You know,
Oh yeah.
and that's unfortunate, but like it's kind of like how strong of a case will he have, especially as we start getting later and later. We're starting
Right.
to every single year we're getting more and more wide receivers that have played in this air raid offense style
Yeah.
that are blowing his numbers out of the water. It's not
Right.
fair, but
Yeah.
it makes it a lot harder to get a guy like him in, but he deserves to be in for sure.
Yeah. Like look at Jaden Reed. He basically broke the record for
Right.
touchdowns. Like
Exactly.
Yeah, his rookie record.
Right.
yeah, his record.
Right.
That's crazy. Okay. Oh man. Okay. So we kind of talked about this. Keyshawn Nixon not making Pro Bowl and Jordan Love not making an alternate. What do you think about that?
It's poo. It's poo.
Thumbs down.
Jordan Love, I can understand a little bit because it was so up and down the first half of the season. Second half he came on incredibly strong, but by that time, it's just like Sterling Sharp. Like you have to sort of like start to finish have like a strong campaign to get the votes in there, and he doesn't yet. I think next year it's going to be a much different story for Jordan. Keyshawn Nixon is the one that's absolute poo because the All Pros came out today, and he's an All Pro
Right.
again.
Right.
And it's like it just goes to show, like, yeah, the Pro Bowl, which is voted on by fans who vote their favorite player in, versus the AP writers who follow the game and understand what's going on. That, yeah, Keyshawn Nixon is the only choice for special team returner. There's no other option, and so it just kind of like what Justin said. The Pro Bowl is a popularity contest versus
Right.
All Pro, which carries a little bit more weight. And I'm sure Keyshawn Nixon will take an All Pro selection over a Pro Bowl selection any day of the week, but it's still poo.
All right, so
Justin.
this next question is kind of a fun one. You can think of this is your blue sky thing. If you have an NFL award that you make up on the top of your head, and it doesn't exist now, but you can make it. It's any type of award, fun type of award you want. And who would you choose to be? Who you would choose to be the Packers nominee for it?
Yeah, I wonder this one. I'm calling it my cash and checks player of the year award. And that is the player who talks the most trash, writes the most checks, but backs it up every single time. And so usually last year I would have given it to Jair Alexander. This year, unfortunately, with the injuries, he wasn't able to get out there and be able to do it. But if I had to give one to somebody this year, I go to Rashawn Gary because he became, I think, like the voice of this defense, and to see the way that he may not be outwardly vocal about it all the time as like maybe Jair sometimes can be, but you can tell that he keeps receipts and he makes sure everybody pays up. So I will give my cash and checks, the inaugural cash and checks award, to Rashawn Gary, and I think that would be such a fun award to do across the NFL because you do that at the awards ceremony. Then you get the clips of all the NFL mic'd up trash talk and everything like that. That's what I want to see. I want to see I want to see the guy that everyone in the league thinks is just the biggest mouth talker, but they're like, but you can't do anything about it because he's just gonna come kick your ass about it.
My friend Emily yesterday said class clown. Who would be the winner for that one?
Jair. And that's good. That's good and bad. But Jair is the personality of this team. It's just nice when he's healthy enough to be able to, not back it up, but to add a little bit more to the locker room than just kind of that, comedic side of it. I think he'll do it this week.
Yeah. Do you have any questions for us about anything?
Oh, I actually kind of forgot. I didn't think about this one. I am really sorry about that because now I feel like now I feel like I'm at the end of a job interview and I didn't plan any questions to ask. No, okay. Here's a good one. Here's a good one for you.
Okay.
I just thought of, where would you rather go watch a game this weekend? Would you rather go to Kansas City or would you rather go to Buffalo?
Ooh.
I would say.
Oh no.
I would say the snow. The snowy Buffalo.
Yeah.
Minus 30 wind chill in Kansas City. That's a no.
Oh no.
Granted, the ice bowl was cold.
Oh no. I had an answer, but then you switched it on me, and I was like, "Wait, no."
We can both pick the snowy Buffalo game.
I'm gonna say this from a former player's Packer answer kind of deal. It's actually met Sammy Watkins, and his family is amazing. So one of his family members actually said he wants to stay at home for the games and not watch it at the stadiums. So because he likes to watch the whole field and not like that one specific point is what he told me. So I'm basing it off of him. So
yeah.
Wait, you're saying Casey and Chad.
That's I go back and forth because I think Justin brings up a good point. If it's between just a huge amount of snow versus 30-degree wind chill, I will take that all day long. But there's a part of me that just feels like Kansas City, Miami is going to be like not an NFL history game, but it's going to be one that people look back on and they're like,
right,
like you were at that game, and you're like, yeah, man, like it was an absolute crap show, but it was amazing. I saw Patrick Mahomes and Tua, duke it out on the Arctic tundra, basically. That would be. I think I would have to pick that one. Plus, I've seen that like they're giving like you can buy tickets to that game for like $30 right now because nobody wants to go sit in negative 25-degree weather. So it's the cheaper option probably.
Well, it's either that or buying a subscription to Peacock to watch the game, which is dumb.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I'll spend the $30 to go to the game than instead of buying Peacock.
Yeah, all playoff games should be on network television, no exceptions. Mm-hmm. NFL, you done NBC, you done screwed up.
Yeah, I totally agree.
All comes down to money. Too greedy.
Yeah. People are telling me they would move the game somewhere warmer.
No, they're not. They're not moving it. It's playoff football. It should be playing in the Almonds, not in the Dome.
Well, I heard they were talking about moving it to Cleveland, and it's like, how is that much better?
I don't think so.
They might get snow too.
Right, exactly. It's on the same lake.
Oh, Buffalo, the weather will be very bad. So I think they're talking about, like you said, moving the Buffalo game to Cleveland.
It's kind of funny how all three Lake Erie teams are in the playoffs this year: Browns, Lions, and Bills.
Yeah, I think I saw it's the first time First time in history or
basically.
something. Yeah. I love it.
Really? That's crazy. This playoff is like storylines after storyline after storyline because we have like Stafford returning to the Lions, like Packers returning to Mike McCarthy, like so many storylines.
Tyreek Hill.
Another
Yeah.
one. Yep.
Yep. Yeah. It's gonna be fun to watch. I'm gonna
It
enjoy the hell
is.
of it.
It's gonna be a fun weekend. Final thoughts.
Cowboys suck. Dallas sucks. It's overrated. That's my final thoughts.
I hope the Packers make Jerry Jones fire McCarthy and clean house, because that could possibly happen if the Cowboys lose on Sunday. Then Jerry Jones might have to change things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad the Packers don't have an owner.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Thank God. Thank God.
Hoping for all the best in terms of the Packers winning. Hoping they win 34-31, but regardless of what happens, I'm proud of the Packers team and just can't wait for the future. And thanks for being on.
Oh, of course. It's been
Okay.
fun.
So I was actually on a podcast Wednesday, and I actually predicted the Packers and Cowboys not very well, but I did predict the Packers to win. I basically wrote, just because our team is getting hot right now, it's going to be a good win. I think it will be a fun and dangerous game. Yes, I know Dallas is undefeated at home, but so far this season. But I think the Packers will be the team to change it around. That's one thing we have to worry about. And then I wrote some stuff up. So
Dallas looked really beatable at home against the Lions in their last home game. Like,
right,
it can happen. Anything can happen at this point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And only a bad penalty gave the Cowboys the win.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess run the ball.
Oh yeah. Run Aaron Jones 30 times if you have to.
I would say 100 yards. I think the stats are if he ran 100 yards for us 3 weeks and we won. So saying that run Aaron
Jones scored 4 touchdowns last time he was at AT&T / Stereo World.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My final thoughts. I know it's kind of late. Not really. My final thoughts are thank you, Dan, again for coming on. I know you mentioned Lombardi's Bar a little bit. Oh, you want to? Yeah, we'll do that next. I did not say that. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. I know we had a link issue a little bit ago, so thank you so much for working with us on that.
Yeah.
And I know my co-host Ingrid, he's training for a job right now. He wants you to be on the show with him. So if you would be willing to do that would be amazing.
Oh, hell yeah, of course. Anytime. Anytime.
Yeah, he comes back in February, he told me. So hopefully after a Packers win.
Yes. Hopefully it's after a Packers Super Bowl. We're at the Super Bowl parade.
I don't know about that, but okay. So I have to mention this. One of my friends, Emily, she's watching, I think. Emily, hi. She actually drew our logo. It stands Max stands for Marion Ingrid said. And so again, I need to bring it up. By Tom Grossi's composer, Daniel, actually wrote our intro for us.
Nice.
Yeah.
It all goes back to Tom.
Exactly. Where can people find you?
I mean, the best place is Twitter /X at DK all the way. You know, anything that I do, I post on there, and you can find it there. But Lombardi's Bar every Wednesday night at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central on the Game On Wisconsin YouTube channel. I fill in on the Pack a Day podcast every now and then, usually on the Friday crew with Shanna and Monty and Nathan, whichever one of those three happens to be out. And then I also do some writing for IBT media. It's not Packer related, but it's a lot of fun pop culture stuff. So you can find all my stuff over there too.
Nice. It's actually funny because we talked to Monty against the Bears. He was a fun podcast.
Monty's good people.
Yeah. Justin.
I already did my final thoughts. So.
No, where can people find you?
It's just my first and last name, Justin Amandro with an underscore in between. So just type in Justin Amandro and you should be able to find it.
Okay, I promise not to screw this up. I've been screwing it up a lot today, actually. So you can find me at Mary90118710. It represents all my favorite Packers. Ness, JD Reed, Romany Dawson, Jordan Love. There used to be a lot more, but yeah. We're not going to mention the bird app right now because it hates me. I'm totally joking about that. You can find me at the Mac and Cheese Podcast, which this episode will be on hopefully tomorrow. I'm saying that when I try to. And I think we're having a guest next week. I'm not sure who it is. It's probably Aaron Ellis or Emily Mack in sports.
Oh, Aaron is fantastic. Love Aaron Ellis.
That was Monty's guest option.
Yeah.
So I just looked it up, Dan, and those three all have